One quiet morning, Harold, 72 years old, widowed, and living alone in the suburbs of Minnesota, woke up feeling unusually heavy. Not because of his usual backache, or the fact that the spring swallows no longer visited his windowsill, but because of a quiet feeling that time was slipping by faster than he had realized. And he found himself wondering, how have I really been living these past years? Is there something I've been holding on to that I should have let go of long ago? He stepped out onto his porch, made himself a warm cup of tea, and sat in silence as the early sunlight filtered through the trees in his front yard. There was nothing urgent, no one waiting on him to do anything more. Just him, and a gentle question lingering in the quiet. Maybe living lighter is the way to live deeper. If you've ever had a morning like Harold's, a calm day filled with quiet reflection, then this video is for you. Today, I'd like to invite you on a gentle journey, not to add something new to your life, but to gently release what's no longer needed. We'll take a kind look back at old habits, long-held beliefs, or relationships we've carried with us, sometimes simply out of familiarity. And then we'll learn how to let go, not to lose, but to come home to ourselves lighter, clearer, and freer. Whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, whether you live with family or alone in a quiet house, I truly believe this. You still have the power to choose how you want to live from this day forward. So let's begin with a soft breath, a gentle smile, and a heart ready to let go so you can live more fully. There's a woman named Jeanette, 74 years old, living in Florida. She's the kind of mother everyone admires, capable, thoughtful, always putting others first. When her daughter went through a divorce, Jeanette quietly moved in to help raise her granddaughter. When her son lost his job, she dipped into her savings to make up for it. And when her college-age granddaughter failed an important entrance exam, Jeanette stayed by her side for weeks, offering support. She believed that was love. But one day, during a routine checkup, her doctor looked at her and said, "Your blood pressure's up, your heart's under strain, and you look more worn out than usual. Are you worried about something?" Jeanette didn't answer right away, but deep down she knew. She had been carrying the weight of her whole family for years, and it was slowly wearing her down. So many of us have been there. We want to fix things. We want to protect those we love, especially after a lifetime of being a parent or grandparent. Letting go doesn't come easy. But here's a gentle truth. Love doesn't always mean stepping in. When we try to fix everything for someone else, we may unknowingly rob them of the chance to learn, to stand tall, and to grow on their own. Think of a toddler learning to walk. If you rush to lift them every time they wobble, how will they ever find their balance? Sometimes, the greatest kind of love is simply stepping back and trusting that they're stronger than we think. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed by carrying other people's burdens, ask yourself, am I truly helping? Or am I trying to control? Am I loving? Or am I afraid everything will fall apart without me? Real love doesn't leave you drained. It gives others space to grow and gives you peace of mind. You can't live life for your children. You can't heal the whole world. But you can be present, listen, and trust that the people you love will find their way. Letting go of the need to hold it all together isn't failure. It's mature love. And when you finally learn to loosen your grip, to love without overcarrying, you may just discover something powerful. Relief. Relief deep enough to begin caring for yourself again. Your body, your heart, your soul. And that's exactly why, in the next part of this journey, we'll explore something that sounds simple, but is often the hardest to give ourselves. Resting without guilt. Allowing yourself to rest without feeling like you need to earn it. A few years ago, Richard, 78 years old, received an invitation in the mail. It was for his younger brother's 50th birthday party. They had once been so close. Growing up together in a small town in Ohio, their childhood was filled with laughter and long summer days. But then came a dispute over family land after their father passed away, and the brothers hadn't spoken in over 20 years. As Richard held the invitation in his hands, his heart felt heavy. Was it too late to forgive? Was he still keeping score? Keeping score means quietly holding on to every wrong someone has done to you. Every hurtful word. Every time you gave and didn't get anything back. It's that invisible list you never say out loud. but can't stop replaying in your mind. And the hard truth is, that list doesn't protect you. It only exhausts your heart. Holding onto resentment is like gripping a hot coal, hoping the other person will feel the burn. But the one who ends up hurt is you. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means deciding to stop carrying a weight that no longer serves you. Think about the people you resented. Maybe it's a family member who never understood you, a friend who let you down, or maybe it's an old version of yourself you've never truly accepted. Now ask yourself, how much longer do I want to carry this feeling? Am I living in the present or stuck inside an old wound? Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't depend on an apology. It doesn't mean erasing what happened. It simply means letting go of the judgment. A peaceful heart isn't one that's never been hurt. It's one that has learned how to heal without needing to win every emotional battle. When you stop counting every wrong, every unsaid "I'm sorry," you'll find the world opens up again. And in that open space, no longer cramped by old grudges, you'll discover a gift far greater than being right: peace. And next, we'll explore something many older adults overlook, yet it's essential to living fully. 3. Rest without guilt. Learning to truly rest, without feeling like you need to earn it. Harold, 72 years old, had spent his entire life being busy. As a supermarket chain manager for over 40 years, he woke up at 5 a.m. every day, reviewing spreadsheets before the sun even rose. And even after retirement, he couldn't bring himself to sit still. You better keep moving. Slow down and you'll get old real fast. That's what he used to tell himself. Until one day, he came down with a mild illness. And during that recovery period, something surprising happened. He realized he felt guilty just for resting. A lot of us were raised to believe that rest is laziness, that only those who are doing something deserve love, respect, and purpose. But here's the truth. After 60, 70, or beyond, what you need isn't to move faster. What you need is to know when to pause, and how to do it peacefully. Rest isn't quitting. It's how you refuel to fully live the life you still have ahead of you. A short afternoon nap isn't weakness. It's your body's way of healing. An hour spent reading, tending to your garden, or making a cup of tea isn't wasting time. It's how you reconnect with the rhythm of your own life. You don't need to be productive every minute of the day to prove your worth. Rest isn't about tuning out the world. It's about tuning into yourself. And above all, remember this. You've already done enough. Now, you deserve gentleness from yourself. When you learn to rest without guilt, you begin to hear yourself more clearly. You know what's worth holding on to, and what it's finally time to let go of. And sometimes, the thing you need to let go of is the voice that's been quietly making you feel small. Which brings us to the next part of our journey. 4. Stop taking things personally. Learning not to carry words that were never meant for your heart. Ellen, 69 years old, once shared something that many older adults quietly relate to. She often felt hurt, not by strangers, but by the offhand comments of her own children and grandchildren. One afternoon, her granddaughter said casually, "Grandma, you don't get tech stuff. Don't press that." It was just a passing comment, but Ellen stayed quiet the rest of the day. Not because she was angry, but because, in that moment, she felt left out. She felt like the world was moving on without her. Have you ever felt that way? A simple comment, a quick glance, a gentle headshake can suddenly leave a scratch on your heart. But here's the truth. Not every word deserves to be carried. Not every opinion defines who you are. Sometimes people say things not to hurt you, but because they're rushed, tired, distracted, or just not being thoughtful. When you carry every comment around, you turn your heart into a shelf full of tiny wounds. But when you learn to choose what's worth letting in and what to let the breeze carry away, life becomes much lighter. Instead of asking, "Why would they say that to me?" try asking, "Why did I let that get to me?" Because once you truly know your worth, you stop letting others decide it for you. And when you release the words that made you feel small, you begin to realize peace doesn't come from others treating you differently. It comes from how you treat yourself. And part of that self-care means learning the power of a kind but firm boundary. Which brings us to the next step in this journey. 5. Stop saying yes to everything. Learning to say no without guilt. Judith used to be the person everyone loved, not because she was always cheerful, but because she always said yes. She always helped. She always showed up, even when she was completely exhausted. When a neighbor needed someone to watch the grandkids, she agreed. When her son asked her to cook for a big party, she didn't dare say no. When friends invited her to a wedding out of town, she reluctantly went, even though her knees were aching. Then one day, Judith collapsed from sheer exhaustion and spent a full week in bed. That's when she finally realized, I'm not young anymore, and I can't keep saying yes to everything just to keep others happy. Once you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, your time, your energy, and your health are no longer unlimited. Every time you say yes to someone else, you may be saying no to yourself, to your rest, your peace, and your well-being, which deserve to come first. Many older adults feel guilty turning down a request from their children, neighbors, or friends, afraid they'll seem selfish. But the truth is, when you're burned out, no one else can carry that burden for you. Your quiet sacrifices aren't always seen, and they shouldn't be the price you pay for being kind. Learning how to say no kindly is a skill, and it's a gift you give yourself. Instead of saying yes out of guilt, try saying, I'd really love to help, but my health won't allow it. I'll think about it, but I also need to leave time for myself. You deserve rest, and you don't need to apologize for it. When you learn to say no to protect your peace, something powerful happens. You start to recognize your own needs again. Which brings us to the next part. 6. Stop ignoring your needs. Self-care isn't selfish. It's essential. There's something curious about life. When we're young, we give everything to our careers. When we become parents, we pour our hearts into raising children. And then, when we finally retire, many of us forget about ourselves altogether. Helen, 72, once said something I'll never forget. I spent my whole life taking care of everyone else. But now that I finally have time for myself, I don't even know what I need. After 60, the body starts to speak up. The heart isn't as strong. Sleep becomes lighter, more restless, and your mood can shift, often from a lack of connection, purpose, or joy. But instead of listening, many older adults push through. They avoid doctor visits, hesitate to ask for help, and treat self-care like a luxury. Or worse, selfishness. In truth, self-care isn't a reward. It's a foundation. Because when you are well, you can love others more deeply and with less strain. Take Mark, 68. He had chronic back pain for months, but refused to see a doctor. It wasn't until he couldn't bend down to tie his shoes that he finally gave in, only to discover early-stage disc herniation. Thankfully, it was treatable because he stopped and listened just in time. That's when he realized, if I don't prioritize myself, who will? Taking care of yourself doesn't require anything extravagant. A warm glass of water in the morning, a routine health checkup, a slow walk in the afternoon sun, a habit of getting enough sleep. These may seem small, but they're powerful acts of self-respect. They're quiet declarations of love for your body, your mind, and your life. And once you start listening to what you need, you begin to see something else more clearly. 7. Stop dwelling on what you've lost, letting go of the past, so you can fully live today. Would you like me to write part 7 next? Just say yes, and I'll be ready. Margaret, 74, lost her husband after more than 40 years of marriage. For nearly a year afterward, she kept the curtains closed. No music, no walks outside, no light in the house, or in her heart. She once said, I didn't just lose him, I lost myself during that time. Then one morning, she noticed a daffodil blooming just outside the window, the same kind her husband used to plant every spring. And in that quiet moment, she realized something. Life was still happening, and if she stayed anchored in what she had lost, she would miss everything still blooming right in front of her. At a certain age, we all have something we grieve. A loved one who's no longer here, a career we once loved, a home that held our memories, or even the small things, our energy, our memory, our independence. But here's the thing, the more we cling to what's gone, the harder it is to see what's still within reach. Take David, 76. He had been a respected college professor for decades. When he retired, he felt lost, useless even. But then he began hosting a weekly book club at the local library, sharing stories and wisdom with others. And something amazing happened. He felt connected again, valued, joyful in a new, unexpected way. The lesson: we can't turn back time, but we can make the time we do have deeply meaningful. Ask yourself, what am I still grieving? And what small step can I take today to fill that space with something new, something healing? Because when you finally let go of what you've lost, you make room for what's still to come. Which brings us to the next step. 8. Stop living in what-ifs. Don't let regrets hold you back from a life still waiting for you. If you'd like me to keep going with part 8, just say yes. I'd be honored to write it. Harold, 81, once let out a quiet sigh and said, "If only I had chased my dream job. If only I'd spent more time with my kids." Sound familiar? Most of us have whispered those two little words in our minds at some point. What if? We revisit old crossroads and ask ourselves, what if I had made a different choice? What if I hadn't missed that opportunity? What if I had apologized sooner? These thoughts aren't wrong, but when they repeat too often, they steal our peace in the present. Because when you live in the what-ifs, you give the past power over your present, and the present is the only place where change can happen. Take Linda, for example. She once dreamed of becoming an artist. Instead, she spent 40 years teaching in a classroom. When she retired, she often wondered, if I'd been braver back then, who might I be now? Then one day, her granddaughter gifted her a watercolor set, and little by little, Linda began to paint again, not to become a professional, but to reconnect with a part of herself that had quietly waited all these years. Now, her paintings hang throughout her home, and she says, "I don't live in what-ifs anymore. I live in right now." No one can rewrite the earlier chapters, but you can start a new one, softer, deeper, and freer. Try this. Write down one what-if that's been sitting in your heart. Then finish the sentence. "I can't go back, but I can underscore today." When you let go of the what-ifs, your mind becomes lighter, and suddenly, you're ready to rejoin the world again, which leads us into our next step. 9. Stop isolating yourself. Why connection is the real medicine. Would you like me to write part 9 next? Just say yes, and I'll be ready. Paul lives alone in a quiet house on the outskirts of town. After his wife passed and his children grew busy with their own lives, he often said, "I'm fine. I'm used to it." But the truth was he wasn't fine. There was no one to share a meal with, no one to chat with in the morning, no one to sit beside him during a ball game. What he once thought was peace and quiet slowly turned into loneliness, then into sadness. Many older adults begin to pull away from others, telling themselves, "I don't want to be a burden." But isolation isn't some noble sacrifice. It's a quiet retreat from the joy of being alive. Research shows that older adults with strong social connections tend to live longer, stay healthier, and report greater happiness. Chronic loneliness, on the other hand, has been compared to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But Paul's life began to change the day he agreed to join a book club at his local library. At first, he just listened. Then he began sharing books he once taught during his years as a professor. Now, every week, he has a standing date, not with a doctor, but with fellow readers, fellow elders, and people who truly listen. Human beings aren't built to live in isolation. Whether you live alone or with others, don't live disconnected. Call an old friend. Join a small group. Attend church. Volunteer. Take a group exercise class. Anything that helps you reconnect. Anything that reminds you you still belong. Because once you start reconnecting, you don't just live longer. You live more deeply. And when that happens, you're finally ready to embrace the most important truth of all. 10. Stop forgetting yourself. Keep loving the person in the mirror. Would you like me to write this final section for you? Just say yes, and I'll finish it with care. Every morning, Linda, now 78, used to look at herself in the mirror and sigh. The wrinkles, the gray hair, the skin no longer smooth and youthful. Does anyone even see me as a woman anymore? She'd whisper to herself. Then one day, her granddaughter took her to a local salon. Nothing fancy, just a trim, a soft brown color, and some moisturizing cream. But when Linda looked back into the mirror, she smiled. "Oh," she said quietly, "so I'm still here. Still her, just a little different now." As we grow older, it's easy to forget something important. We are still people, not just the elderly. You don't need red lipstick or expensive dresses, but you do deserve care, confidence, and to feel beautiful when you catch your own reflection. Too many older adults stop caring for themselves. They throw on whatever clothes are nearby, eat just to get through the day, skip movement, skip fun, skip going out, because somewhere inside they believe, "I'm old now. Who even notices?" But the truth is, you should be the first one who notices. Taking care of yourself isn't about who's watching. It's about honoring yourself. Every wrinkle tells a story. Every silver strand carries a journey. Don't hide them. Don't apologize for them. Wear the shirt you love. Eat your favorite meal just because it's Tuesday. Look in the mirror and say, "I'm still me. I'm still beautiful. I'm still alive. And I still have so much to give." Aging isn't the end of the story. It's the moment when you decide what's truly worth keeping and gently let go of what no longer fits. If you've made it this far, I believe this. You're already choosing to love yourself again. More gently, more kindly, more deeply. And that is the greatest gift you can give yourself at this stage of life. As we reach the later chapters of life, it's not the noise, the accomplishments, or even the regrets that stay with us. It's the quiet wisdom we've gathered and the peace we've made with ourselves. We've just walked through 10 powerful reminders, lessons that call us not to shrink with age, but to live with deeper clarity, letting go of the need to fix everyone, releasing old resentments, setting emotional boundaries, choosing joy over guilt, and above all, remembering to care for the person in the mirror. These aren't just life tips. They are acts of love towards yourself and towards the people who will remember you not by what you owned or solved, but by how you made them feel. Personally, I've learned that aging gracefully isn't about denying reality. It's about embracing it with open eyes and an even more open heart. It's knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to hold on and when to let go. So if something in today's video made you pause, smile, or reflect, I hope you'll carry it with you. Let it shape how you live and how you love. If this message resonated with you, please like this video, leave a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe to Candle of Wisdom. Each week, I'll be here with more stories, insights, and quiet truths just for you. Because the best part of getting older is finally knowing what really matters.